I got this burn barrel from my neighbors, Ethan and Sarah. Ethan and Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your stuff with us. I need a burn barrel, and this is gonna be great, but I gotta cut the top off, and I'm gonna try this nibbler tool. I could just use an angle grinder, but I just wanna try this out on something. So let's give it a shot, shall we? I'm gonna go ahead and pop a hole in here. Put a little cutting oil, ooh, a lot of cutting oil down on there. There we go. I don't know how well this is going to work. We're going to try it. I'm going to put some cutting oil on the blade here. Oh, baby, that is sweet. I'm just going to put some cutting oil in the path. Kind of cool, except you can't pull it out. You got to complete the whole circle or back out because the head is really wide. Yeah, so man, nice clean cut. I don't know how thick this is, and I forget what the specs are on this. I'll put them up here on the screen as I'm talking and yakking at you folks. But not a bad purchase. I don't know what I paid for it. Probably $33, something like that. And I think it normally sells for about $130 on Amazon. So I really like it. It comes with a rectangular cutter and a circular cutter. The rectangular cutter is faster. The circular one is a little bit of a bigger cut. So very happy with that. That's cool. That didn't take long at all. Nice and clean. Yeah. One thing I noticed is you've got to keep that head moving. You got to keep it running. Because when I stopped there for a minute, the head was down and it was actually it was in the kerf of the sheet metal, and it was actually locking the head up. So you got to make sure you keep this thing moving, keep it running. And like I said, once it's in that kerf, you can't, you're not going to be able to pull this head out because the metal goes right through here. So, yeah, not bad, folks, hey? All right, I think that's about it. Well, folks, this is it. This is it right here. This is the nibbler you saw me using. I don't know if I'm too close to that camera or not. Can you read that? Right there, and on the back side there are some quick specs. As you can see here, it has two cutting heads. It has a rectangular and has a round head. The rectangular head will cut 1,500 millimeters per minute, whereas the round one will cut about half that, 750 per minute. And it's rated at cutting about, I would say, with steel plate, you can get 16 gauge and smaller. You might get away with 14, I don't know. The round one is rated for 20 gauge and smaller. The thickness of the nibbler, the square nibbler or the rectangular nibbler, is about 3/32 wide by 5/64 thick, and the round head is 5 millimeters in diameter, which is about 3/16, I believe. So there you go. Those are the specs. The other thing that's nice about it is it takes a standard 20 volt DeWalt battery, or in this case a flex volt battery, just like that, and pretty nice design, I would say. I've never tried any others of these. I know that Makita makes one, Milwaukee makes one. I don't know, probably a ton of manufacturers have them. I've seen them online. I've seen them as high as $300 and some. Probably get a nice fancy, you know, carrying box or something like that, a bag with it. But this did come with a case. It came with this nice little deal right here. Can you see that one? That's what it came with. It came with some gloves. It came with tools that you need to change the heads. And came real nicely with this Chinglish language. Yes, I said Chinglish. Chinese English manual, which is fairly easy to understand. But I'm just telling you, you gotta read between the lines a few times to get it. So that's it. All right, folks, I'm gonna wrap it up right there. Oh, one downside I've noticed is this thing will not sit flat and stand up. See how it's kind of tilted like this? It wants to fall over like that, so it won't sit on the bottom of this battery. You got to lay it down on the side. That's a minor deal, I think. All right, now changing the cutting heads on this thing is a little bit inferior. I wish it was just a quick connect, a bayonet mount of some sort, but it's not. We'll take the battery off, and on this little collet here, there's a set screw. We're going to take that set screw out. I'm going to take it all the way out because the collet on the square cutter does not have a set screw. So we'll leave that there. Once you've got that out, you've got to loosen the collet with the handy dandy wrench they supply for you, which is nice. And then the head pretty easily pops off, and then the actual cutting head itself slides in and out of this little channel right here. All right, putting the square or the rectangular cutter on is a different story. There's a little channel on one side of the head and it's flat on the other side. You want that channel facing the back or toward you as you're putting this in, as I am. And you kind of want to center this thing up as good as you can when you put it there, because it's really hard to get that channel to line up with the opposite, the mating side of this back in here. And honestly, I'm going to try this. If it works, hallelujah. If not, I'll show you what to do otherwise. And see, there you go. I can't get it to line up, and it's a real pain. To save time and frustration, what I'm doing is I'm going to remove this little guide here, or I believe that's what it's called. I believe it's a guide. I'm going to go ahead and take these screws out. Probably get away with just loosening it. Let's try that. Yeah, so I was able to get away with just loosening this to give more room for the square head to sort of get into that slot. And once it's in place, go ahead and tighten down the collet. Take your set screw, put it back in. And then using that same wrench, I'll go ahead and tighten these bad boys back up. And you want to push this guide to the end of the head as much as possible, just to limit the temptation to stick wider material in there than you should. All right, so there we go. Battery goes back in, and let's see if we can start this up. So there it is, folks, head replacement. Okay, that's about all I have, folks. You know the drill. Be kind in your neighborhoods, be kind in your families, and I know you got somebody in your life whose guts you just cannot stand. I challenge you to go out and do something kind for that person, will you? All right, I'll see you in the next one. Over and out.